Yo, what's good YouTube? It's your boy Elijah here, and as you can tell from the title of the video, today we're going to be talking about corruption in boxing. So without further ado anyway, let's get straight to it. So I'm gonna start this video giving you guys a little quick history session about some of the corruption that's happened in boxing. The oldest influence of money having an influence in boxing took place long before boxing was even filmed on television. So to really put that into perspective anyway, it was around the time Harry Pinero was still a child. The earliest recorded cheater was Eupolis of Telasi, I think I butchered that, who bribed boxers in the 98th Olympiad, and this resulted in all four men being heavily fined. And during the 1940s to 1950s anyway, boxing was basically a war zone, G, big man thing. And for the guys who don't know anyway, the Mafia was controlling boxing, G. Yes, bro, exactly. It sounds mad, innit? It's Frankie Carbo, also known as the Fixer, was a notorious figure in the world of boxing during the mid-20th century. And I can't even lie, yeah, Frankie was a demon, G, catching bodies like he was King Von. Frankie Carbo was born on August 10th, 1904 in New York City and became associated with the Lucchese crime family, one of the infamous 5 families of the Italian-American Mafia in New York. Frankie Carbo was involved in various criminal activities. Carbo was linked to the murders of several prominent mob contemporaries during the gangland wars of the 1930s. Carbo's significant influence, however, would be in the world of boxing, where he operated as a mob enforcer and fixer. Carbo would manipulate fights, control boxers, managers and promoters, ensuring that the outcomes of matches favoured those with whom he had financial interests. One of Carbo's most notable proteges was the legendary middleweight boxer Jake LaMotta. Jake LaMotta would take a blatant dive against Black Jack Billy Fox, who was another mob-owned fighter, for $20,000 and a shot at the middleweight title in the future. The knockout was so fake on Jake LaMotta's part that the onlooking crowd started to boo. Jake LaMotta would get his £20,000 and eventually win the middleweight title. And the craziest thing about the story anyway is that Billy Fox would eventually become penniless and homeless. Cool, so now that I've given you guys a little brief history lesson, I'm gonna talk about the snakes in boxing and how Don King was able to steal $100 million from Mike Tyson. Don King literally looks like Tion Wayne when he was fresh out of prison, G. But anyway, for the guys who don't know who Don King is, basically, right, anyway, his big break came in 1974 when he promoted the famous Rumble in the Jungle against Muhammed Ali and George Foreman. This event anyway marked the beginning of King's prominence in the boxing world. Throughout Don King's career, he was involved in promoting some of the biggest fights, including the Thriller in Manila between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier and many others. But King's career has been tainted by legal troubles and controversy. On March 5th, 1998, former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson filed a $100 million lawsuit against Don King in the US District Court in Manhattan. Tyson alleged that King and his companies acted as one entity to enrich Don King at Tyson's expense. The lawsuit accused Don King of approving one-sided and oppressive agreements between his companies and the boxing industry. King took advantage of Tyson's vulnerability and lack of understanding of contracts to secure unfair deals. As court records showed that Don King had contracts that not only made him Tyson's promoter, but also gave him 30% of his earnings. And that's not the only slimy thing that Don King did. When Muhammad Ali lost to Larry Holmes in 1918, King persuaded one of Ali's trusted advisors to take a suitcase to the ex-champion, who was still dazed and confused after a severe beating in the ring. It contained $50,000 and a contract that stated no more money would exchange hands in terms of prize money, and also gave Don King promotional rights to any future fights Ali might have. Ali signed his contract, but he wasn't in the right mind, obviously, because he was just in a fight. But this left him around $1.2 million short on a guaranteed $8 million. And although Ali sued, King would end up getting an out-of-court settlement for $100,000. Don King is one of them brothers, yeah, that will sleep with your girl and then try blame you for allowing your girl to be in the same room as him. Larry Holmes would also take Don King to court after accepting $100,000 for a $300,000 lawsuit. Larry Holmes commented that Don King looks black, lives white, and thinks green. One thing that is in place today is the Muhammed Ali Act, which helps combat the exploitation of boxers. It was first introduced in 1999 and enacted on May 26, 2000. And what it does is protect the rights and welfare of boxers. So basically, right guys, the United States Congress was beginning to see all the bullshit that was happening within the sport of boxing. They were beginning to see how promoters were taking advantage of boxers, and they were beginning to see that one of the biggest issues in boxing anyway is that it's not governed by a league. For example, basketball has the NBA, English football has the Premier League, so on and so forth. You get what I'm trying to say? Because of the Muhammad Ali Act, promoters are required to disclose all material aspects of contracts to boxers and any fees associated with the promotion. Because of the Muhammad Ali Act, boxers cannot be coerced into signing contracts that contain oppressive terms or unfairly restrict their rights. There are more things that the Muhammad Ali Act states, but I'm not going to go through it in this video anyway. And I was watching a video about ex-professional fighter Tony Jeffries talking about his time in boxing. He said that one of the biggest cons in boxing anyway is the amount of snakes that you encounter. Because during the amateur scene in boxing, he said that a lot of the trainers are doing boxing just for the love of the sport. However, when you become a professional anyway, you are dealing with a lot of businessmen who are thinking about how much money they can earn from you. So when I'm talking to my friends about fighting in general, one thing that annoys them a lot anyway is the amount of belts that are in boxing because literally in boxing everyone is literally a champ, but in the UFC anyway there's like one champ, which is the undisputed champion. Now the World Boxing Association, the WBA, formerly known as the NBA, National Boxing Association, is the oldest one out of the 4 major associations, which sanction professional bouts alongside the WBC, the IBF, and WBO. Now bear with me G, this is all gonna make sense. Now throughout the years, the WBA has been associated with corruption in the sport, which led to other organizations like the WBC. In 1981, a Sports Illustrated article claimed that a boxing judge was being influenced by the WBA president Gilberto Mendoza to judge certain fighters for their titles more favorably. The same article also discussed a variety of bribes paid to WBA officials to obtain championship bout opportunities. Now, like I've said before, the WBC was introduced to combat corruption. However, they've been involved in corruption themselves. The ex-IBF president Robin Lee was found guilty on 6 of 38 counts. Lee was charged with taking $338,000 in bribes from promoters and managers to fix rankings and sanction fights. Robert Lee was also found guilty on tax evasion, money laundering, and interstate travel in aid of racketeering. And honestly, broski, I swear down, if boxing was a country, it'd be Nigeria, just because of the amount of corruption that happens in boxing, G. But anyway, if you made it to the end of this video, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. It means the world to me. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, G. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, yeah.